This is what you'd consider a beautiful day in Goroka. As you can see, from a pilot's perspective, there's quite a bit of weather. I'm going to just zoom in here rapidly, so just watch your eyes there. But this is a beautiful day in Goroka, but still quite a bit of weather to work with. And weather here is quite localized, so it could be beautiful here and terrible somewhere else. So that's one of the challenges that the pilots have to keep on working with every day of the week that they're flying. We took off one morning heading towards Kakori, which is on the coast, about 120 miles or so to the southeast of Goroka. We climbed out over the Yamnabari range through the Kakori gap, you see one of the airstrips below there, and then up at 10,000 feet we cleared the last ridgeline for the remainder of the trip down into the Gulf Kakori region. It's fairly low-lying terrain, swampy, and today, as I'm told, is pretty normal. The terrain is covered in cloud. This is the last land we saw until we were over Kakori airstrip. Trevor was telling me that this kind of weather is very common. He refers to this region as the plug hole of Papua New Guinea, referring to the weather. According to Trevor, the weather is like this quite often. If you look all the way around this, you notice that there's low-lying stratus in all quadrants, and we did not see any ground at all until we were over the Kakori airstrip. As we circled down through the muck, we were trying to, on the one hand, keep the power up to allow the turbocharger to cool down more slowly, but at the other hand, the hole was small enough at certain places and times. We had a bit more space here, but as we turned around to the left, you notice we were kind of cramped for space, so we wanted to get the plane down through the hole, but yet we didn't want to shock cool the turbocharger. We spent probably 10 or 15 minutes just descending from above the airstrip down to a point where we actually get down through the clouds. Quite a lot of time used up for navigating the weather here. Remember that beautiful weather we saw in Goroka a few moments ago? Nah, I guess not. I don't either. Just raining like crazy here, and as we continued on through the final approach, it just improved a little bit, but just a lot of weather. And the surprising part to me was I was told this was actually a pretty good day, so I'm glad I came on a good day. We're actually flying in here with some fresh fruit and vegetables, and also bringing a pasta in to serve the local congregation here. It's pretty hard to grow certain vegetables here because of the weather, so we're trying to bring in some encouragement and sustenance for the people here just to keep their spirits up. Damon here on final approach working the controls. This airstrip we're landing on has an unusual surface of Marsden matting. It's metal grating that was used during World War II by the Americans to make a stronger surface, or more mud-resistant surface. It's basically the kind of grating you see across a bridge where vehicles and cows can cross, or vehicles can cross and the cows cannot cross. It's got about 1.5 inch diameter holes throughout this matting. So there's quite a distinctive sound you'll hear on touchdown, and quite a distinct vibration that we felt as well because of this unorthodox landing surface. We spent about 10 minutes on the ground in Kakori, sloshing around in the mud and meeting the people. Most of them were probably below the age of 25, quite a lot of youngsters in this community. Climbing out of Kakori once again, and this time en route to Kara Mui. It's only about a 30-minute flight, and it's about 2/3 of the way back to Goroka. This place is famous for the headhunting area that one of the famous missionaries, Len Barnard, a pilot, walked out to. It took him 6 weeks to get here from Goroka, but that return leg will take us about 25 minutes. We're looking at the airstrip from the air for traffic and people on the runway, animals. On base leg we saw a giant, not really a waterfall, but cascading water. And I asked one village group how they crossed the river, and they said they lose 4 people a year trying to cross that river. It's just so violent. I want to take a break out of the sequence here and share with you an experience I had going into Mai Mafu. And these people built this runway with their blood, quite literally. It took them 13 Christmases, they said. They dug this all out by hand, using saucepans and sticks and small bush knives to remove all the trees. As you can see, this is a very rugged terrain up at about 6,000 feet. The airstrip is very short and steep, between 14 and 18% gradient. The takeoff really had me going here. I was really quite concerned about it. Trevor Robinson is a very experienced, careful and safe flight instructor and pilot. And the second we released the brakes, we were absolutely committed. There was no way we could abort or change our mind. We had about a 10 or 15 knot tailwind, and the indicated airspeed was 0 for far too long. I realized we're basically a bobsled at this point, at the mercy of gravity. We didn't have much aerodynamic control until about this point, still below the stall speed, but enough to at least have control as we fell off the end. My eyes filled with tears as the tension of this takeoff eased. The chief of this village had adopted Trevor as his son, and Trevor had been instrumental in saving many lives in this village. The relationship between the mission pilot and this group of very humble people just tore at my heart. I want to take you now on the journey back to Goroka through some of the most wild terrain that I can imagine seeing. Vegetation is extremely dense. It's amazing that you'll see houses off by themselves in all kinds of strange places. In this case here in a cluster in the jungle. The terrain is so steep in places that walking on all fours is extremely difficult, and in some places like this you can see it's absolutely impossible. Even with ropes it would probably be a real ordeal. It's just unbelievable to think that 1 minute in an aeroplane is about the same as 1 day of walking. Here's another house down by the river. I didn't even know how they were able to get out of there, but it's definitely on foot, and it's definitely going to be a lot of hard work. Here's a shot of some vegetation literally that's fallen off the hill because it's just so steep. Gravity is no match for the roots. Final approach now into another strip. This is Magino, pretty easy strip, but once again we're already committed to the landing. Trevor's putting in everything to make sure that it's going to be a good landing, and lots of length, but the terrain in the background just makes it too difficult to turn around if we had to make a missed approach. Always get it right the first time. The people were very grateful there. We're dropping off some supplies for the doctor there and picking up some nurses to go to another village. They were just ecstatic that we were there that day, and it was just a major event for the whole day. They just came from all over the place out of nowhere to say hello and look at the big balus, the big aeroplane. At the end of my short week visiting Goroka, I was just lost for words. What can I say? Back here in comfortable civilization, as we call it, we argue about insurance and risk management and about the dangers and, you know, risk versus reward and dollars versus baptisms. But to be out there for real and see the people give up their lives to build airstrips, to see the people living off the land and putting their very best into getting their kids to school, to building up their church. I just cannot see anything less that we could possibly do than to provide air support. It is absolutely essential. I saw it time and time again, and I can't say any more. You have to see it for yourself. Welcome back, Damon.
Yes, again. I think we're just about ready to go, yeah.
Are they going to check the cowling for the turbo charger real quick, or?
Yeah, I'll go and check with Lynn and see if he wants to do that now. I'm not sure if he's wanting to do that now or at the end of the day, or,
okay.
Or when.
One morning in Goroka, I got up at about 3 AM, not able to sleep. I just started thinking about the lies the devil uses to stop us from serving him. One of them was risk. We can't do it because it's too risky. I'd like to share just a few verses with you out of Hebrews 11 and 12. 11 verse 29 says, "By faith they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land." Verse 30, "By faith the walls of Jericho fell down after they were encircled for 7 days." Verse 35, "Women received their dead raised to life again. Others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. Still others had trial of mockings and scourgings, yes, and of chains and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were tempted, they were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted and tormented." Here's the key part, "of whom the world was not worthy." 12 verse 1, "Therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God." Jesus took the ultimate risk. How about you?